To rule one's world, one must first rule oneself. The greatest conquest is not of nations, nor of enemies, but of the heart that beats within one's own chest. Emotion is the most seductive traitor of all. It promises truth yet blinds the mind. It whispers loyalty yet delivers ruin. Those who allow their emotions to reign over them become prisoners to impulse, tossed between joy and despair, hope and fear, like a ship without a rudder in the storm. To master emotion is not to destroy it, but to harness it, to make it serve purpose rather than passion. It is to look at anger and say, "You will move only when I command." It is to look at fear and say, "You will remain silent until I have won." Consider those who have fallen not because they lacked strength, but because they lacked control. The ambitious man who speaks in anger burns bridges that would have carried him to his throne. The lover who surrenders fully to sentiment is led not by reason, but by the chains of devotion. The ruler who shows mercy out of guilt rather than strategy breeds weakness in his realm. Emotion, left ungoverned, is the assassin of power. The world bows not to the passionate, but to the composed, the one who can stand amidst fire and feel nothing but the direction of the wind. Yet mastery over emotion is not the cold absence of feeling. It is the deliberate governance of it. The one who feels nothing at all is hollow, and hollowness cannot command loyalty or fear. Emotion is a weapon, sharp and dangerous, yet effective in the hands of a master. To display compassion when it gains allies, to conceal rage until it may strike with precision, to appear humble when pride would provoke opposition. This is the art of emotional control. The wise understand that the heart must be trained like a soldier, disciplined, obedient, and loyal only to command. When the crowd shouts and the world tests your composure, remember that the loudest voice is often the weakest. The man who must prove his passion lacks true conviction. The one who quietly acts according to design commands all. Emotion is noise, mastery is silence. A silent man studies, observes, calculates. He lets others exhaust themselves with outrage and excitement, while he waits for the moment when emotion blinds them and opportunity opens before him. He wins not because he is stronger, but because he is still. In every contest, whether of love, politics, or war, the one who controls emotion controls the outcome. The enraged general fights without reason and loses his army. The fearful negotiator concedes before battle begins. The desperate lover confesses too soon and forfeits power. In each case, emotion seizes the reins, and reason becomes the servant. True strength lies in appearing to feel deeply, while never surrendering to those feelings. When the time calls for anger, show it. When pity will disarm your enemy, display it. But let no expression reach your face that has not been approved by your mind. Understand that most people live as slaves to their emotions. They are predictable, and thus easily ruled. Their desires betray them, their fears expose them. You must become a reader of these weaknesses, using them as a map to guide your ascent, to master your own emotions while understanding the emotions of others is to hold the strings of the world. Their laughter, their tears, their pride, all can be instruments in your hands, provided you do not allow the same instruments to play upon you. To practice mastery over emotion, begin in the smallest matters. When insulted, observe your anger rise but do not speak. When praised, observe your pride swell but remain still. Let no external force pull your mind from its center. Over time, you will find that no word or glance can disturb your composure. This is the moment when others begin to sense your power. Though they cannot explain it, they will call it mystery, charisma, or strength. But it is none of these things. It is discipline in its purest form. Such mastery grants an aura that cannot be faked. The one who commands his emotions radiates certainty. His silence becomes louder than another's fury. His calmness in adversity becomes a prophecy of victory. Men follow those who seem untouched by fear, because they crave the same freedom. They obey those who do not flinch before pain, because they see in them a reflection of the godlike will they lack. Thus, mastery of emotion is not only a personal conquest, it is a form of dominion over others. Remember that every emotion seeks to rule you, and every moment of weakness invites subjugation. The world will test you with humiliation, betrayal, and loss to see if your heart bleeds or your mind commands. Those who are quick to react lose sight of the path. Those who endure without expression bend fortune itself. To feel nothing is not to be inhuman. It is to elevate feeling to a place of strategy. Emotion becomes a servant to ambition, not its saboteur. When you rise in silence while others shout, when you smile in defeat, knowing it is but a move in a longer game. When you show mercy, not out of softness, but out of design, then you have mastered emotion. It will no longer control you, you will control it. And in that moment, you will hold not only power over yourself, but over all who have never learned it to do the same. Reality is a fragile thing, easily shaped by the eyes that behold it. The wise understand that truth alone rarely governs the world. It is the perception of truth that commands obedience, loyalty, and fear. Men do not follow what is real. They follow what appears powerful, just, or divine. To rule perception is to rule reality itself, for the mind of the crowd is guided not by knowledge, but by what it sees and believes. Thus, control of perception is the foundation of all authority, the invisible crown upon the head of those who understand that appearance is the language of power. In every age, men crave certainty. They wish to see strength where there is doubt, purity where there is ambition, and virtue where there is calculation. The master of perception gives them this illusion, and in doing so, binds their hearts and minds. He knows that the world is not ruled by the just, but by the convincing. Power belongs to those who can shape the narrative, who can cloak ambition in honor and command in persuasion. To seem noble is often more effective than to be noble, for men respond not to essence, but to image. Consider the man who displays calm when others panic. His composure becomes legend, his silence mistaken for wisdom, his restraint for depth. He may be uncertain, yet his appearance of certainty makes others follow him. Perception multiplies influence, transforming even the smallest act into a symbol. The leader who appears unshaken in chaos draws strength from the faith of others. Their belief feeds his authority until illusion becomes reality. To maintain such an image requires discipline greater than strength, for one must perform continually, concealing weakness as carefully as a wound beneath armor. Perception must be crafted deliberately, like a sculpture carved from stone. Every word spoken, every gesture made, every silence held contributes to the portrait the world beholds. The careless man exposes his true self and invites attack. The calculating man conceals himself behind masks, revealing only what benefits him. There is no shame in such concealment, for sincerity is a luxury afforded only to those without ambition. The art lies not in deception for its own sake, but in the strategic control of appearance. Truth is a weapon best sheathed until it serves a purpose. The crowd admires confidence and despises hesitation. Even false strength commands more loyalty than visible uncertainty. A man who doubts himself is already defeated in the eyes of others. Therefore, perception begins within. The way one presents oneself must align with the image one wishes to project. If you desire to appear invincible, you must first eliminate all signs of fragility. If you wish to appear wise, you must learn the power of silence. To influence perception, you must anticipate it. Study the minds of those you wish to sway, and feed them the image they are most eager to believe. In the theater of power, image is armor. The one who controls it moves unseen beneath its protection, and while others reveal their intentions, the master of perception lets others guess, allowing their uncertainty to serve as his shield. Mystery is the most potent of appearances. It compels respect, provokes curiosity, and prevents familiarity. Once men believe they understand you, they cease to fear you. Once they cease to fear you, they cease to obey. Thus, guard your image as a general guards the gates of his city. Let no rumor escape that you have not planted, no weakness be seen that you have not staged. It is not necessary to be loved to hold power, but it is essential to be perceived as worthy of love or fear. The balance between admiration and intimidation is delicate. Too much of one destroys the other. The wise ruler appears compassionate when it secures loyalty and merciless when it ensures order. The masses rarely question contradiction. They accept what is presented with confidence. They will believe a lie told with conviction over a truth whispered with doubt. Therefore, to command perception, one must first command conviction, acting always with the assurance of inevitability. The influence of perception extends beyond others. It shapes the very way events unfold. Fortune herself favors those who seem unbreakable. The enemy hesitates before attacking what appears impenetrable. Allies gather around strength they believe cannot fail. Even chance bends toward the confident. When you project certainty, the uncertain yield to your will, and reality slowly conforms to the image you have created. It is not deceit, it is the manipulation of belief. And belief is the most powerful force in existence. Control of perception demands constant vigilance. One must not only project strength, but also conceal the mechanisms that create it. The illusion must appear effortless. Those who reveal the labor behind their image destroy its effect. For the appearance of natural greatness is more persuasive than visible ambition. The greatest deception is not to disguise weakness, but to make strength seem innate, inevitable, divinely granted. When men believe your authority flows from destiny, they cease to question its source. Perception, once mastered, allows one to rule without command. People will act in your favor not because you order them, but because they perceive it to be their own choice. They will defend your name, justify your actions, and protect your reputation. For they are enslaved by the image you have woven. To control perception is to write the script of the world, while others unknowingly play their parts. Therefore, learn to see not only what is, but what appears to be. Let others chase truth while you craft belief. The wise understand that history itself is written not by the most righteous, but by the most convincing. Control how others see you, and you control how they treat you. Shape their vision, and the world bends to your reflection. Mercy without purpose is weakness disguised as virtue. Compassion, when ungoverned by reason, becomes the most treacherous enemy of ambition. To ascend, to build, to rule, one must learn the art of calculated ruthlessness. This is not cruelty born from malice, but discipline born from clarity. It is the ability to act without sentiment, when sentiment would destroy you. To strike not from anger but from necessity. The world respects power more than it loves goodness, and often it is through decisive ruthlessness that order, progress, and victory are achieved. Those who cannot bear to wound will forever serve those who can. Every great endeavor demands sacrifice. The weak tremble at this truth. The strong embrace it. To be ruthless is not to be heartless. It is to see beyond the immediate pain of a decision to the greater purpose it serves. The surgeon cuts to heal. The general kills to preserve his nation. And the leader punishes to maintain peace. What separates the wise from the cruel is calculation. The cruel act to satisfy their anger, the wise act to protect their design. When action must be harsh, it must also be precise, delivered swiftly and without indulgence. The hand that hesitates in striking gives the enemy time to recover. The hand that strikes in rage loses control of the blade. Calculated ruthlessness is a virtue disguised as vice. It is the discipline to remove emotion from justice, to measure every decision by its outcome, rather than its sentiment. Those who lead must often choose between two evils, and to hesitate is to allow a greater evil to prevail. The sentimental man wishes to please everyone, but in doing so, he pleases no one and destroys himself. The calculating mind understands that peace cannot exist without fear, loyalty without consequence, or progress without pain. Thus, ruthlessness becomes not an act of cruelty, but a balance. To rule effectively, one must recognize that mercy is a tool, not a principle. Mercy given without foresight breeds defiance, while punishment delivered with consistency breeds stability. When others know that your decisions are governed by reason rather than emotion, even your ruthlessness becomes respected. The people will forgive harshness if it preserves order, but they will never forgive weakness that invites chaos. A leader who seeks to be loved before he is feared loses both affection and authority. The wise understand that fear, once controlled, becomes loyalty in its most enduring form. Ruthlessness must be exercised sparingly, for its power lies in its rarity. The constant tyrant is soon despised. The measured ruler, who punishes only when necessary, is obeyed and remembered. The execution of power must be like a blade, sharp, clean, and unsheathed only with purpose. When you strike, strike in full. Half measures inspire rebellion, decisive acts end it. The moment for ruthlessness is not when one is consumed by emotion, but when calculation reveals that gentleness would lead to destruction. The path to power is littered with those who mistook kindness for strength. They believed that goodwill alone could bind loyalty, that generosity could disarm envy. And yet the nature of man is such that he respects the firm hand more than the open one. Gratitude fades quickly, fear endures. The wise use both, weaving them together, so that subjects obey out of admiration, yet never forget the consequences of defiance. True ruthlessness, therefore, is not constant brutality, but mastery of balance. The perfect mixture of warmth and warning that commands both hearts and obedience. Those who would lead must prepare themselves to be misunderstood. The world calls ruthless those who act without hesitation, yet these are the same men it later praises for their success. Posterity often forgives what the present condemns, for results justify the means that achieved them. The one who waits for approval before acting will never act at all. Ruthlessness requires solitude of mind. The ability to walk alone through doubt while holding faith in one's purpose. You cannot seek the comfort of others when making hard decisions. Greatness demands the courage to be hated, at least for a time. Even in personal dealings, calculated ruthlessness commands respect. When others know you will not tolerate betrayal, they think twice before deceiving you. When they see that you reward loyalty, but destroy treachery without hesitation, they begin to discipline themselves. The fear of consequence maintains order better than the promise of reward. A man who wishes to be respected must set boundaries that are immovable. He must be capable of both kindness and destruction, yet allow neither to control him. To be feared for justice is power. To be feared for cruelty is failure. There will come moments when sentiment whispers against action. The heart will plead for leniency. The voice of conscience will tremble. And the memory of affection will beg you to relent. But the mind must remain sovereign. Mercy has value only when it strengthens your position. Pity has meaning only when it serves your design. When emotion interferes with necessity, crush emotion. A single moment of softness can undo years of discipline. The one who spares an enemy out of guilt will face that same enemy reborn and stronger. The one who punishes with purpose will sleep in peace. Calculated ruthlessness demands not only strength but vision. It is knowing when to act harshly and when to restrain. It is the art of keeping the hand steady, even as the world watches. The crowd may judge what it does not understand, but time reveals the wisdom behind decisive cruelty. What appears merciless today becomes mercy tomorrow when it prevents greater suffering. The true measure of ruthlessness is not how much destruction it causes, but how much disorder it prevents. The wise act not to inflict pain, but to secure peace, and those who master this art ascend beyond the reach of the ordinary. Power belongs not to those who seek comfort, but to those who command themselves before commanding others. To doesn't feel nothing is not to be devoid of humanity. It is to master the inner storms that drown weaker souls. To wrest control everything is not to possess the world, but to possess the mind capable of bending it to purpose. The path of mastery is carved by discipline, sharpened by perception, and defended by ruthless precision. Emotion obeys reason, perception shapes reality, and ruthlessness preserves dominion. The one who governs his heart governs his fate. The one who shapes what others see shapes their allegiance. The one who acts without hesitation in moments of necessity becomes the architect of destiny itself. Strength, therefore, is not born from chance but from deliberate design, from the quiet, relentless control of self that precedes the control of all things. In a world ruled by impulse and illusion, the few who rise above both stand eternal, not as victims of emotion, not as servants of circumstance, but as the calm within every storm, the unseen hand behind every victory, and the silent mind that commands every